So lately, in the last 10 years, I would say the trend has been to see a lot of small businesses destroyed by rampant theft and also by addiction and mental health driven homelessness that is out of hand, where it's not controlled, where it's interfering with business, with people coming in and feeling safe. So those two pockets have become quite at the top of my list of things to take care of. And those are some of the harder things to take care of because they actually require the whole revamping of the law. Our laws essentially decriminalize drugs and they decriminalize theft over time. They made it where you can steal as many times as you want. If it's under $950, it's always a citation or a misdemeanor. It made it where you can possess fentanyl, you can possess methamphetamine, cocaine, and the officer can just hand you a citation. This is the last 10 or so years after the passage of Proposition 47. And that proposition claimed that it was to make schools safer, to take money out of criminal justice and put it in schools. We all know that never happened. But people voted for it because the title was Safe Schools and Streets. It made everything unsafe and it created chaos, and you can almost track the passage just to see how homelessness has gone way skyrocketed 50% since the passage of Prop 37. In other states that didn't go this way, their homelessness actually went down. So it's directly related. Even though we talk about housing, we talk about, and all those are true. Even though there is poverty, there is a lack of, there is and PTSD, there is children running away from violence, but there's also a very large population that is addicted, that is not able to get out of their addiction. And why would they, when they can just live life by their own rules and just get their citations that they throw in the face of the officers? So this is what I heard day after day from my police chiefs, from my police officers, my sheriff's department. And so we went to work. We tried to get something through the legislature. It did not work. We gave up and we went by way of proposition, bringing it to the people. It was a lot of work. Cameron Celeste here, our director of business safety and development, he worked so hard on every facet of this, knowing that San Diego is not small and is mighty. We're the second largest in the state. We're larger than 21 states. We act like a small town, which I love. We're still like family. We're connected, but we're very large and powerful. And we acted like it. We led the way on Prop 36, and we ended up having it passed by almost 70%. I mean, nothing these days has so much unanimity because people wanted balance. It was an out of balance system. Since the passage of Proposition 36, life has changed. It will continue to change in a positive direction. We've already filed in, because it went into effect December 18th, unlike normal laws that go into effect in January, a proposition goes into effect 5 days after the results are certified. And to the chagrin of some of the criminals who were telling the police officers, why are you arresting me on a felony, even though I have 12 prior convictions? It's not January yet. The officers got to inform them that, no, it was a proposition, so you're going to jail. It's just the way it is. So this law has a lot of accountability, but a lot of compassion. And I'm going to tell you how. On the theft, you still get, for a dumb kid who comes in and steals a 6-pack of beer, it's wrong, but they're still going to get their misdemeanor. And the second time, they're going to get their misdemeanor. But on the third time, they're going to face a felony because now they've shown that they are a habitual criminal who doesn't want to follow the rules. On drugs, many families have members that are addicted. It's a terrible disease. And unfortunately, liberal media pushes out that people need to just want it. Like if they want it, they can get it. That's not the reality. The reality is the drugs that the cartels are making are so incredibly addictive after one use of illicit fentanyl that it takes a court saying, hey, you've got two roads. You've got to either get treatment or you're going to jail. And it saves people's lives. It's called a treatment mandated felony. And that's what this law created. And with that, we now have about over 500 filed cases in just a couple of months in San Diego alone. We already have 34 people in treatment. We had that. People weren't accepting treatment, which means that it's going to cause police, which has already caused them, to have the homelessness kind of be less organized, because now you have a shot caller. You have somebody even in the encampments that's bringing the drugs, selling the drugs, using the drugs, controlling the population. They're almost like a gang shot caller. So they're having an easier time having people accept services. So I think this is going to continue to be a great solution, but that has been an incredible amount of community, police, DA work to get this done. I'm in the implementation phase. I am speaking to my county all the time to make sure that they follow the mandate of the people, which means that they have to find and provide treatment, and they have to prioritize paying for it instead of just deciding what they want to work on. This is what the people have said. They want people to get treatment and not stop committing crimes. The other big issue that's been there for us is one that we've begun really tackling and setting a model for the United States is in elder scams. You're kind of going to be stunned with these figures. I know there's a lot of elder scams, but we actually never knew the true measure of the elder scams. And what we did is, after meeting several seniors in our elder fraud division that have been decimated, they've lost everything. And I do believe the reason we're seeing a lot more older homeless now is because they're embarrassed to tell the story of how they were scammed. They're not reporting, and they're just sucking up like the generations are and just saying, it's my fault, I blew it, I wasted the money, I don't want to be a burden on my family. And we've had a couple of seniors that have contemplated suicide after losing everything. So this is something we've really focused on. We led the charge, my office. We had an investigator and a prosecutor do 200 search warrants because they noticed there is a connection in the dots between elder scams in La Mesa with elder scams in the city of San Diego. And we figured out that actually this was organized crime. And much of it came from overseas. They have essentially camps where the people in there are given a script, and they will call and call and call, and someone it will hit, and that person will fall for it. And the number one, so once we figured this out, we went to the FBI, we went to our local police, we did the presentation, and we formed an elder justice task force so that the dots are always connecting as opposed to being like this case and that case. With that, we had all of the police reports go into what's called a fusion center. It's a law enforcement coordination center, and be able to spill out data for us. And the figure that's stunning is last year alone, there were $98 million lost to seniors in San Diego County alone.
Whoa.
And these are the reported cases. We know that there's so many more unreported, where the senior may have dementia, Alzheimer's, not even know what happened to them, or knows but is too embarrassed to report. No matter what we do, what we need is really positive prevention. I'm looking to you as leaders to tell us what are the ideas for that. We want to do a massive campaign like we did on human trafficking to make seniors aware at different points, whether it's at their doctor's office, in their senior homes, um, in their dental, whatever touch points touch our seniors. We want to do a mapping where those touch points are and make sure they have the information. The number one scam turned out to be, because you remember now we have science, we're fusing everything in one place, we spill out my data, is called the tech support scam. That's when, and our seniors are using computers, they're using tablets. When there's a pop-up that says your computer has been hacked and compromised, call this number and we will help you. And it says it's Microsoft or something that sounds trustworthy. You call the number and the person sounds absolutely reasonable. They have a script. And what they say is, for $120, we're going to fix this for you. It's going to take some work, but I need access to your computer. You see the little mouse rotating. They go in your computer. They find out you are banking with Chase Bank. I'm using a real case. The next thing you know is somebody from Chase Bank is calling you. And they are verifying this story. And they're saying, something has happened, your bank has been hacked and you're losing money. Your money, somebody is getting rid of your money. You need to come immediately to the bank and withdraw money. Someone will come to your door and put it in another account for safekeeping.
Oh, no.
This actually happens time and time again. And people will withdraw money. Somebody will show up at their doorstep and they'll pick up the money. And we notice that the people that are showing up are from one area in LA, and it's like organized Chinese gangs that have their school. They just show up, they pick up, and sometimes they even send an Uber service. So the Uber driver is not aware of the scam. They're just paid to go to a certain location and pick up this package of money. Once we started catching on to it, we would have the senior accept the challenge and would not withdraw, pretend they withdrew money or withdraw money if they're being surveyed. And then we would set up an undercover operation, nab the person when they came.
Yeah.
But the reason we want to do prevention is because most of the time the money is lost. It's overseas. We can't recover it. And that's a big problem. We've done a lot to try to recover cryptocurrency, where seniors are told to deposit cash and convert it into crypto. Gift card scams. There's obviously all the scams where you get on your phone, Amazon, your UPS package. But our seniors don't know that you can't click anything. You have to go to the original. If you're worried about it, you go on your Amazon account, you find out it's perfectly fine, but you don't click on anything that comes into you. So this is a big focus for me because I've seen the devastation, and we now have people coming to San Diego to look at what we've done, because it hasn't been done anywhere around the nation, and this is in the billions around the nation. I mean, they're stealing the wealth and security of our seniors. It's very disgusting, despicable, and it's international. Obviously, yes.
Just a quick question.
Please, yeah.
Are any of the cell phone carriers helping you with making sure those text messages don't go through? Because, I mean, I'm on a national do not call list, and I get text messages from
every day.
Everybody. Like, it stops absolutely nothing. So it's unfortunate that I don't see that we're getting a lot of help from any tech companies when they're aware that these things are going on. And I was personally hacked at my business a couple of weeks ago, and they have my entire tax return. And there's nothing I can do about that. It's an IP address in China, and I pay $30-something thousand a month for security and for firewall that did me no good. So I'm aware that this has international flavor. This is a completely different situation in that they're actually sending people, they're So a lot of it, the seniors actually speaking on the phone. They're not texting. They're actually speaking on the phone and getting instructions verbally.
Exactly.
And they're following that because they're talking to a live person, so they think that must be
legitimate, right? Yes,
that's part of it.
And they have a great. I mean, they're Oscar-winning actors. They have a script that they follow that's perfect. So it's chambers and everybody have to make people aware.
Well, what about, I don't know, this is the first time I've heard of this. What about if we worked with the banks and came up with something so that when the senior goes to make a withdrawal, we have some kind of a senior liaison? Because if they're targeting seniors, the banks usually, we're pretty small here. I can only talk, we're going by US Bank today. They know people. We should not. There's got to be some kind of safeguard that why are you taking this money out? Because if they're coming to the door to take this cash, we should be able to stop that before it gets to that level.
Mary, you've hit it on the nose.
We have to.
There are mandatory reporting laws for banks, but they're they have to kind of see a real infirmity. But these guys, it's not all people with Alzheimer's or dementia. They are smart people that are falling for
Don't
this.
they often keep it like under $1,000 and stuff so that the banks don't really?
They also sometimes keep it under. But so I do think the banks can do more
and maybe do a liaison. I'm just thinking of a partnership.
I agree
for the seniors. But how does the senior lose all of their income and almost want to commit suicide? They go into their bank account, say it's Chase, and they deplete it because they've given them
wire transferred it probably.
They've given everything on the phone. They've given their credit card numbers or login.
We've got to train them.
Two-factor authentication.
Exactly.
You have to have two. Yeah, I do. You can't.
We had a client last year,
in my bank
and
account without
she lost
two-factor
$25,000, and it was all she had in her bank account.
Yes.
Somebody called her and said her grandson was in trouble.
Yes.
That's right.
And and so she, she had to pay this money, and it was $25,000. That's all she had, but they knew what she had in the bank,
Yes.
Of course,
because that's what they asked for.
Exactly.
So she did. She paid them $25,000 over the phone. She did everything. So she was living in Chula Vista in a manufactured home. She had to move from there to a senior apartment because now she has no money saved. And the day that she moved into the apartment, somebody stole her car at the apartment complex in Chula Vista.
It's terrible.
So she lost everything she had.
She's lost everything
within a couple of days.
Everybody knows someone. I mean, it's there. It's everywhere.
Yes.
It's horrible. And this scam of the grandson that happens, but now it's going to get better because they can use AI to look at all the postings on Instagram and make the voice, put the statements together to make the voice sound real.
I got another idea just now, is why can't we, your office, why can't we partner and liaison with all the senior centers? Because that's where seniors go to get their meals. They also do their bingo and their dance classes. We need to somehow partner to educate them because they're very active seniors, and they're probably the smart ones that are techie, and they're probably giving this information.
We can't do it alone. This has to be where the seniors are going. We did partner with Meals on Wheels to put this information in the meals as they're being delivered, but we need other ideas on how we do this, and so you guys will be a great partnership. Obviously, illicit fentanyl has been a real big deal. It's killed 77,000 people across the United States. It's very cruel. It's one time you're on a cliff and you're gonna, and parents walking in and seeing their kids and getting their college acceptances after these kids passed away. And one thing that's very important is, unfortunately, the state again took away funding for drug education for our kids in schools in 2009. But the drugs only got stronger and stronger. So what we've done in San Diego is we've tried very hard to get them to use some of the opioid settlement money to provide schools with funding to do drug education. This is working. We've gone from 12 kids that died a couple of years ago from buying pills online because of the education, we had 0 kids last year die online. But we still have a lot of adults that are dying from illicit fentanyl.
Okay, well then at some point we have to talk about NGOs that are handing out clean drug use kits, and the fact that they never discuss treatment. There's never any, here's where you can go and get treatment. It's just, here's everything you need to not get hepatitis.
Well, you are speaking my language.
I worked in the drug and detox business. I had a company in Orange County when kind of before the fentanyl thing came in. The other thing is there's no treatment for methamphetamine at all. You know, there's Suboxone for opiate withdrawal, but when there's absolutely nothing for methamphetamine, and the treatment center that I ran, it was like, okay, well, what do we do for people coming off meth? Oh, they go sleep for 3 days and they're fine. No, they're not. No, they're not.
You're
so
absolutely
I don't know.
right.
That has nothing to do with
this has to do
area,
with me. In fact,
NGOs continuing to encourage people on the streets to do drugs, and the fact that California pays homeless people to be on the street.
San Diego pays people to do that too, and
Okay.
they have large contracts. And you know, there was at one point where the county talked to me about turning my eye to opening centers where people can just come in and use, and I said no, that means the county has become a drug dealer. I would have to
They want to clean
prosecute.
shooting galleries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was no way that was
Like
going to
the
happen on my watch.
domicile in Canada.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
happening here. Not on my watch. Without. So there's a lot of problems, but I think that prevention, education, and treatment, we just don't have the treatment
It's
for
the treatment.
methamphetamine.
Treatment.
Methamphetamine does have a treatment, but it's not a drug. It's like actually kind of part of like McAllister. It's doing the whole detox, and in addition, like supportive system, reward systems, but it's not an instant cure. You need to actually be in a program for 6 months. We have them in drug court. It takes 18 months for methamphetamine. It takes a long time
The recidivism rate's higher.
with the
for
judge supervising them. But that's why we need prevention. We need to
Absolutely.
educate ahead of time about these things, and that was taken away from our schools. So that's something that keeps me up at night. And of course, all of the internet and no rules on the internet, our kids being on the internet, all of the sexual exploitation that's making our kids depressed and isolated. So those are things that human trafficking is something we continue to work on day after day. And we now are opening family justice centers, which are really great for our domestic violence, human trafficking victims to walk in and, partner with all sorts of agencies to get jobs so they don't feel like they have to be sold in prostitution or other things. There's a lot to do, but we have a great community to do it with, which is terrific. Do you have any questions or? It sounded like some of the things were new, but I don't mind. You guys eat. I'm
We
used
want
to
you
not.
to eat and taste the food from our small business owners.
Yes. No, really. Do you have any? You can ask me. I'm not used to. I just wanted to be polite.
She's not used to eating when she comes to places. She told me. I said, "Well, you're here in Mesa. You have to eat."
Yes.
Is there any talk of more treatment options, since we know that housing first doesn't work? It has to
Right.
be treatment first.
I agree.
And having worked in that industry, I can honestly say it doesn't matter if the addict wants it or not. Every time they relapse, right back to treatment, and that's what works. So do we have that option, or do we not?
Well, with Prop 36, they now have those two doors. So we have to increase treatment to meet the mandate of the people. Proposition 1 passed, and it basically provided millions of dollars specifically for homelessness, mental health, and addiction. And I've asked the county to allot a lot of that money specifically for this Prop 36 criminal population, but to also build out treatment that way. I also believe in crisis stabilization centers, which one is opening in the East County. We opened 2 in the North County, and they're very successful because they allow people to be stabilized to even think about accepting treatment. So those have been good things in my experience. But you know a lot about this, and we agree on everything. I mean, you saw it from the provider end, I see it from the prosecution end, but the conclusion is the same. That what all this stuff doesn't work.